Hey everyone, how you doing today? We are bringing Omar back for a topic he just had to share with you. He wants to get it off his chest. This is like going to your priest and just letting it all out. So to set this up, let's just say Omar lost 100 grand this week and he wants to tell you about it so that he can move on and feel better. So how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna be a
You know,
priest here. I'm gonna listen and just listen and say I feel for you.
yeah, it was quite challenging. Being in this business for a while, you have your ups and downs. All of us do, and there's sometimes you get that failure, and it's a real big gut check, and that's what happened this week. We buy and sell a lot of homes, and we go on a lot of listing appointments. And for those realtors that are listening, it's when you go to a listing appointment and you don't get it, and then you find out somebody else gets it. Oh, okay, fine. It's 6, 7, 8K, 9K that's lost because you didn't get the listing. But it's a little different when you go on an investment appointment to purchase somebody's house, and everything is leading up to perfection. You related with these sellers, you figuring everything out, you're providing the solution for them because they're going through their situation they're going through, whether it's a loss, an inheritance, whatever the case, or the house just needs repairs. But this is just and it bugs me, and I get losses like this all the time. Not all the time, but this time I want to share. I went on an appointment, structured the deal pretty fair, actually, like super fair considering the work that needed to be done. Made an offer. They weren't ready to sign. Obviously, I tried to close one more time. Did not happen. I didn't want to pressure them. So I tried to close one more time. So three times. And it didn't happen. Even increased my price from the initial. And following up the next day, the following day, day 3, which was last night, I get a text. And all it says is like, thank you for your time, Omar. We went with another investor that paid us more money. So I'm like, oh, okay. So when you get that text, you're just like, oh, what did I do wrong? Did I not offer enough? You start thinking everything what you did at the appointment. And I'm sitting here like, okay, well, that sucks. So I responded, did my thing. Long story short, they increased their offer 15K above mine. That seller obviously let that investor know what my offer was. So good for the seller. Honestly, good for the seller because they generated more money for themselves. So you can't blame that. But now, after the dust settles, that property was probably worth about $55,000, $60,000 in profit after we repair it. Okay, that's one. So write that down: 55K, 60,000. Secondly, this week, had an opportunity to pick up another property for really cheap, 60, 70,000, which was unheard of. And I took a little too much time because remember, that window of opportunity is only there for a little while. So you have to go in there, you have to solidify the solution, you have to figure out what their situation is and give them their answer. Here you go. Let more time go by. Now they're looking. House, literally, I've increased it by 20,000 from my initial offer, and looks like they are not going to be selling to me. So they're probably going to sell to somebody else, according to what they said. And this was a phone call. So, and that one had a $45,000 to $50,000 as well in profit. Or I kept it as a rental, and then now it pays me $100,000 plus the appreciation. So if you do the math, it's probably a little bit more than $100,000 over the course of 5 years. But I'm sharing all this with you because this will happen in your career. Okay. It will 100% happen in your career. If it doesn't, consider yourself lucky and go play the lottery. Okay. Because it literally happens to all of us. Yeah. We don't get every single deal that we are out there to try to get because sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Right. And you walk away. But in this case, I wasn't walking away. So literally over 100K this week was gone, flew in the wind. It's okay. You have to bounce back. But just like everything else that we're dealing with, that we just dealt with last year, and now we're 2021 and we're going to be that much better this year. The course to your success is not a straight line. It's a lot of failure. It's a lot of reverse. It's a lot of, broken tire, pop tire. You're pulled off on the side of the road. You're fixing stuff. Then you're getting back on the road and you're going. So this is the shit that happens to you in this business. I wanted to share to be able to keep moving forward, because 100K in a week, people don't make that in a year.
Yeah.
And I just lost it in 1 week. So you start thinking about that a little bit.
Yeah. A couple of things I want to point out. First and foremost, if you are getting every deal, you're overpaying. You're that guy, right? You're that guy or
You're
that.
that guy. Yes, you are.
Yeah. You're the sucker at the poker table, right? If you look around a poker table and you don't know who the sucker is, it's you. So if you get every deal, you're overpaying. That's number one. So number two, let's just break this down for lessons learned, right? Not for
Okay.
you. You've already been there, I'm sure. But again, as your priest, I'm here and looking to help others. So in opportunity number one, right, you executed your process that you've done hundreds of times, right?
Yeah.
You went for the close, you went for the close, you went for the close 3 times. You raised the price here or there. As you sat there, do you think you could have done anything different in that meeting, or even if you offered more money, they just weren't going to say yes that first time?
Yes, one great question, because I've been thinking about this in my head this whole time. Yes, I could have, and this is super key. I want everybody to write this down. I was going in there in a flip mentality, okay, to flip this property. I didn't sit back and look at the numbers, which I did, and I always do. But in this case, I don't know what happened. I don't know. I had other stuff in my brain. If I were to change my mindset to understand that this was going to be a keep, this was going to be a door that I've kept for 10 years, then I would have paid 20 grand more. So
that's key.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this because this is happening for reals.
Yeah.
And obviously everything's coming at me and I'm just like, why didn't I think about that and said, you know what, here, I'm going to give you an extra 10K above what you wanted. Perfect. Sign the contract. I now have gold. I can decide what I want to do with it. So if I end up selling it, making 30K or 35K, great. Or I rent it out and make $700 in positive cash flow every month. So trust me, this is the number one thing that you guys need to decide on when you go to your appointment. And we talked about this before in our previous meetings. And this is so key because you need to know what you're going there to do. And I lost it. And mind you, I have a rental about less than about 40 houses away from this house that I bought for like 60K. And I could not seriously, it was, you know what? We all have,
you just missed it.
I missed it. We have a brain fart. That's what it was. So the key is flipping it or keeping it. You have to understand which one you're going to.
Absolutely. And again, I think you nailed it right. You have a lot of stuff going on. You were focused elsewhere. You probably had already done the plan about how great a flip it would be. And your mind just would not let you go to, you know what, let's just reposition and make it a keep. It was a miss. Fair. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So
human.
yeah. Even you're human. Yeah. So let's go to number 2, right? So number 2 was going to be a cheap house. It sounded like there was a little lag in timing on your end that allowed someone else to sneak in. At least that's kind of what I took from your wrap up. So when you look at that one, what'd you learn? Maybe not learn? What are you reminded of? Because I'm sure you know it, but what were you once again reminded of?
Make the offer quickly, present it, and solidify solidify the solution that you have for them during their situation very quickly. Like you have to act so fast. And yes, at times it takes a while, but if I sat back and looked at what I could have done differently, I just would have made the offer immediately. I waited 3 days to make an offer.
Yeah.
That's not key.
Yeah. See, it's funny, right? We get into these habits or routines on these deals, right? And it's very common where you don't make an offer the first day and you kind of get into that lag. I mean, just look at the first deal we talked about. But sometimes they want a one-call close. They're just done, right?
Yeah.
They're like, I'm out. I'm tired of thinking about this for whatever reason. Sometimes a one-call close is the right answer. And it sounds like this one was one of those.
Yeah. And I elaborated a little bit too much. you know what? But at the same time, because I am a broker, so you got to remember this. I'm an investor and a broker, so I have a fiduciary responsibility at times to be able to let them know what their choices are, their options. I think I gave them too much opening. So I kind of opened that window and said, hey, you can look and see. And, the property has a tenant. So there was a lot of things that are, stacking against them to put it on the open market.
For sure.
But so understand that when you hear someone on the other end, provide the solution quicker. Yeah. That's my key. Yeah. Provide solutions faster, give them the offer. Like Michael said, that one call close, and maybe that's all they needed because they want it out of their brain.
Sometimes. Yeah. Well, dude, I appreciate you doing this. It's always good. I think people will really appreciate you having this honest assessment. So again, what I will tell you as your priest, one Hail Mary, and then just get on with your business.
That's it. Cool.
All right, man. Thanks. Take care.